Hi there. Today, in this activity, we are going to design two board game pieces, a piece for a trouble game and a piece for Clue. And in the process, we're going to learn five new Rhino moves, going from a 2D image to a 3D image, something called revolving, a little bit more about surfaces and how to create partial surfaces, lofting, and filleting. So let's get going. Um, as mentioned, we are going to do these pieces. These are called clue pieces, and these pieces, these are called trouble pieces. So let's start with the top one. So you can see this is a bit of a complex piece because it's not super geometrical. You've got sort of a sphere, and then it tapers down, and kind of a modified cylinder here. Now we could, of course, try this. We could try to create a cylinder, and we could create the middle point and drag it up, and then have that be the bottom part, and then we could put a sphere on top of that. But that's not going to get us super close. So what we do is we're going to look at a command called revolve. And what revolve does is it allows you to take a 2D image and then rotate it around 360 degrees to make this. And this will probably make a little more sense once I show it to you. In this situation, you're going to think about what half of this piece would look like. If we were to saw this piece down the middle, and look at it in kind of profile, what would we be seeing? Okay, so let's begin by putting a sphere at the top. Now we could actually be drawing a half pardon me, not a sphere, but a circle. We could be drawing a half a circle, but let's do this, and you'll see what I'm going to do in a second. Okay, what I want to now do is sketch the profile, half the profile of this piece. And by that, what I mean is we're going to click right here called Polyline Segments, and I'm going to draw a line down here and down here, and then from here to here. And to finish that line, I press enter, and now we have kind of an L with a sphere at the top. And then if you take a look at this command right here, what this does is this lays down points and then draws curves through it. So for example, if I go here, and when I start to lay down points, you can see it's creating kind of a curve. Now, again, I'm going to hit enter here. Now, this is not the perfect replication of this piece. The size is different, and the base here has a little bit of a different shape, but this will kind of give you the basics of this. Okay, so what we want to do now is we have a number of different pieces to this. We've got that curve, we've got those lines, and we've got this circle. So we want to join those first of all. So we type in join, and that joins lines or line segments or curves. And now it's time to revolve this around 360 degrees. So if I type in revolve, the command revolve, and it wants me to select what I'm going to revolve. So I've selected those pieces there, and I'm done. And now it asks me for the revolve axis. So that's if you were, for example, if you were going to stick your arms out and spin around, your axis would be kind of straight down through the middle of you. So what we do is we want to have this axis be kind of right in the center of this piece. And I've actually turned off grid snap, so it's not snapping to the grid, but you might have that on there. Click enter, we're good. And now if we kind of drag this around, you can see that it's actually starting to fill that in. We could also just go over here and just go full circle, and it did it for us. And now the couple of things we have to do. We have to make sure that we group everything together so that when we move things, the whole piece moves. And let's flip this on its end. So 90 degrees flip. And now you can see it's kind of beneath the the construction plane. So we use the move command, and we select point, and we want to move it to the origin, 0, 0, just typed it in the bar there, and it moves it up there, and now we've got a piece. Not a perfect representation of that piece, but hopefully enough to give you the tools that you will now need to construct that. Okay, let's now go to the second piece. So this is the one on the bottom here. This is called a treble piece. A couple of things about this. This might look like a cylinder, but in fact, it has the radius of the top circle is actually smaller than the radius of the bottom circle. And by that, I'm not talking about the holes in it. I'm talking about the actual just surface there. So what we are going to do is we want to have kind of a cylinder that tapers to the top, in addition to having it be hollow, because this is the actual part of the board. This fits on there, and it has to fit relatively snugly so that it actually doesn't just kind of keep falling off the board. So you're going to have to do some very precise measuring of the not only the diameter of the solid part, but also the diameter of the holes. There's a bigger hole on the bottom and a smaller hole on the top, but we're gonna do that together. Okay, so this is to create something called the loft function. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by creating the bottom circle here, and I draw a single circle like that, and then I draw the inner circle, which is going to be the hole. Now, because it wasn't snapping to the grid, it's not aligned, so I'm just going to type a line, and I'm going to go concentric, and now those two pieces those two circles are aligned. We can actually create a surface of that band of plastic there. So if we go back to planar surface, and if you select both of these surfaces, now it creates a surface between those two. So that's the beginning. Let's group this. So we're moving the circles and the curves as well. And let's move this out of the way. So this is going to be the plastic in the bottom. Now, I want to think a little bit about the surface at the top. And you can see it's a little bit smaller in diameter, and then the hole is quite a bit smaller with respect to the overall circle. So what I'm going to do is, this is the plastic of the top, smaller in diameter than the bottom. And now I'm going to draw a smaller circle, and you will, of course, have measured this, but I'm just going to eyeball it here, and there we go. We can do the same planar surface command that we did before to fill those in there. And let's go planar surface, and now we've got that. Okay, now these are currently on the same plane. What we want to do is we want to lift this one up, and then we're going to join them. So we're going to begin by aligning these two surfaces, and we're going to go concentric again. So just do this, and we're now going to lift this center, which is really the top piece, up. You again you're going to measure the height of this, but I'm going to just do it for the sake of kind of showing you the moves here. And now what we want to do is connect these two things, and that's where we use these two surfaces. That's where we use something called the loft command. So it's asking us for what are the curves that we want to loft. So select this one. You want the surface edge, and right there. And when we say done, it's kind of showing you what it's going to connect there. And if we go done again, we've now connected those two surfaces, and you can kind of see, oh, this is a tapered cylinder, so the top is smaller than the bottom. But one noticeable difference is this edge here is much sharper than this edge here. So what we do is we use something called the fillet command, and fillet is really what would happen is if you kind of sanded an edge down. So it's asking us for the curves to fillet. Now, the radius, that's kind of like how much material you're going to take. It's a curve, and the radius is how many millimeters would be the radius of that arc or that curve. So we're going to change this to 1, and you'll see why in a second. And now we're going to select the two curves that are joining really the surfaces. So in fact, pardon me, we're gonna fillet the surfaces, not the curves. So fillet surface. Again, the radius is 1. Choose the first surface to fillet, and as soon as I click this next one, you can see that the joint between them got kind of sanded down, very much like this, the rounded edge of that piece. Now the thing is, that is now considered to be a new part here, so we've got to group everything together, and we are now ready to go. We could actually print both of these pieces. That's today's lesson on revolving and lofting and filleting, and good luck with your prints.